Let me use this opportunity to speak to Jeremiah Omotofefe. You see, delving into spiritual matter was never my intention online, but sometimes you feel you have a thing or two to add to certain raging debates, and you can't help it but say a thing or two. The truth is that if I were Jeremiah Omotofefe, I would keep quiet. I will not attack. I will not even attempt to be responding to Pastor Abel Damina. Let me tell you something about a few things that I've come to understand. You see, God is in a dimension that you as a human being cannot comprehend. Let me give you an example. You will not understand what I'm about to say if you are not, let's say I'm a graphic artist, I'm also an accountant, but I think I do a bit of graphic artist, and I use the software they call Corel Draw. Now there's Corel 10, 12, 13, 14, Corel 20, Corel 23. When you do a program in Corel 12, you can't, when you do a program in Corel 17, for instance, you can't open it with Corel 12. That is, you can't open a higher version with a lower version. When God said, let us create, that in the beginning, that means before the beginning, God existed. If you read the Bible, Genesis 1:1, it said, in the beginning, God created. That means before creation, God existed. So, before God created the heavens and the earth, God was somewhere. Where was God? God is in another dimension that we are not capable of comprehending because we are not equipped with the software. We are using Corel 12, whereas God's realm is in another higher version of software. So, because we are in a lower software, we cannot use our inferior software to open the mysteries and the questions of that software where God exists. Of course, God exists somewhere. If God said, let us create man, or let us, in the first day, God created the heaven and the earth, which means God was existing somewhere before heaven and earth existed. So, in the realm of God, time is of no consequence. We are using application language that are best suited with the app installed in us. So we can understand what time is, what space is, based on the senses we have. Sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of taste, sense of feeling, sense of reasoning. So we have basic limited senses available to us to decipher the program available to us. So I just want to put this one out there as a foundation for us to understand, because I don't want to claim I'm too knowledgeable, but trust me, my intelligence level is very high. I don't like praising myself, but I have an intelligence quotient that is very high. So when I listen to two people talk, I try as much as possible to listen to the ingredients that you are using to make a sense. And what is the product of your sense? If the product of your sense is a type that reproduces, then I think you are making sense. But if the product of your sense is a type that results to argument and further arguments, then I don't think you're making sense. Now, Abel Damina said that Jesus Christ, all the miracles that Jesus Christ did in the Bible, it was for free. And indeed, it was free. Nobody paid for any miracle that Jesus Christ did. Jesus Christ used some of the non-entities of the world, mud, clay, water, turned water to wine, which people drank for free. use clay to open somebody's eye, which they didn't demand money from him. So if Jesus Christ, the one that has all the powers, the one that is father to all these men of God, did everything for free, how come yours is not for free? Let's not even go further too far. The missionaries that came to Nigeria and brought Christianity to us, they sacrificed everything they had. Some of them even died in the process. And they brought Christianity to us free of charge. Built universities and secondary schools and higher education free for us. How come you that are proteges, beneficiaries of these missionaries, are now selling what you gain freely from them to us? So, if I had listened to Jeremiah Omotofefe and Abel Damina, one who says that Jesus brought things freely he give and freely he expects, and one who says you must buy soap for $1,000, that's about 1.4 million naira, and one who says you must buy perfume, everything you must buy key. Now, I am a Delta person. I've traveled to Warri. When you are from Sapele to Warri, you pass Mercy City. It's a gigantic estate. You see, I've seen that some of us Nigerians enjoy being foolish. We enjoy living in this fiction called miracle. Most developed countries don't dwell, they don't live in miracles. They believe in working for what they get. You have to work. You have to create value. It is your value that people pay money for. But you see somebody without IQ, without value, going to churches and expecting miracle. How do you, because you buy a soap for 1.4 million naira and you bathe with it, you suddenly begin to acquire wealth? Elon Musk didn't bathe himself with any soap. Bill Gates didn't bathe himself with any soap. Dangote didn't bathe himself with any soap. Otedola and all the rich people you see, all the wealth, they didn't bathe themselves with any soap. They applied the principle of riches. They applied the principle that results into wealth. And that is what gave them wealth. So, when I see people coming on social media, coming to church, telling people to buy, look, I wouldn't say everything, but most of the things that Abel Damina is saying, how can you bribe God with his own creation? Let me give you, I started this video by saying that, by telling you the dimension of God. Do you know that at one point in time, even you yourself, you've played God? Let me tell you, to understand the concept of creation between God and man, let me create a concept for you. Just get a piece of paper and a pencil or a biro or a pen. Try to draw a house and people and children, trees, fountain. Whatever you create, whatever you draw on that piece of paper is a world. But you are able to create that world because you are creating another world in a 2-dimension. We human beings, we are living in a 3-dimensional plane. We are I just pray say, because most Nigerians, because of our problems, our IQ don't dey low. So let me pretend that some of you are even understanding what I'm saying. We as humans, we are living in a 3-dimensional plane. And because we are living in a 3-dimensional plane, we can actually design another world in a 2-dimensional plane, because our own dimension is superior to the dimension which we create. That is why we have artists. Anytime you paint a picture, like, let me even go a step higher. Those who create movies, cartoon for instance, when you create a cartoon, and you create a world for them, you create rivers, you create oceans, you create mountains, you create Mufasa, lion, you create all those characters. That's a whole world you are creating. It's the same way God has created this world. But he is in a higher dimension. So, attempting to understand his own world is a futile effort because we are not equipped with the software language to understand the world God lives in. Abel Damina, to me, has expressed far more closeness to understanding the dimension of life than all these charlatans that call themselves men of God, that are only interested in asking you to bring money to tap into God's glory. How can you use God's creation to bribe God? If God wants money, he can wish trillions and trillions or quadrillions of money. How can you insult God that God should depend on his creation to get what his creation has created, to get him to do what he wants to do? Even the language self as I speak, they confuse me. So you cannot expect God to depend on his creation to create something that can entice him before he does something for you. That's an insult to a God that is in a higher dimension. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That means God was existing somewhere far beyond the reach of our comprehension, because all this brain, all this white hair I get, all this, they are limited by the language, by the software language available for us as human beings. For you to understand God, you must have a higher software language. I wish there are programmers listening to me. They understand where I'm coming from. So you need to have a bigger, more complex software language to understand the mystery of God. So all these pastors that are trying to give you God spoke to me. God cannot speak to you. You are too small. If God actually speaks to you, you are going to... That is why they said, God said if he reveals himself to you, it's in the Bible, that if God said if he reveals himself to you, you'll be blind. Because even the function that operates your eyes,
he speaks but you can't see.
Even the functions that operates your eyes is too small to conceive the type of picture God will reveal to you. Even the functions that controls your understandings of audio is too small to comprehend God if he speaks. So for any man to tell you that God spoke to him, God cannot speak you in the language that my son, my son, my son, my son. Maybe there will be bars and thunder following that voice. You see, you are making a mockery using your limited software language available to God's creation to pretend you are hearing from God. Like Abel Damina will say, it is malaria fever. You are hearing things from your fiction of your imagination. If God speaks to you, your ear go scatter. You go mad. If you hear from God, you will go mad. Because the language that God speaks is not limited to this your ordinary Hausa, Igbo, English, Latin, French. These are man's creations. God cannot subject himself to the creation that man created. It's not possible. So if anybody tells you that there is a soap that can actually give you wealth, it only conforms to your laziness, your greed, and your lackluster ability to truly want to understand the basic principle that operates the earth. What is the principle that guides the earth? There's a principle for riches. There's a principle for health. If you want to live long, live a healthy life. Don't go about, contracting diseases. For every disease you get, it shortens your life. If you get malaria and you cure the malaria, you are well, but your life expectancy decreases by a certain percentage. Eat healthy food. Eat food that will not block your arteries, that will not develop clogs of fats into your veins, so that blood can actually flow seamlessly through your veins. So these are basic principles. You don't need all these spiritualities and lies. If you want to live short, enjoy your life. For everything you gain, there's a price you pay. If you are going to fly by air, you pay more. If you are going to fly by road, you pay more. But the less you pay, the less you get to your destination. The less time, the more time it takes to your destination. What I'm trying to say is that there is no quick way to paradise. Even the Bible said, narrow is the way. So, Jeremiah Omotofefe, for me, if I were you, you should stop talking to Abel Damina. You've been caught in your lies. Just be honorable enough. Either you stop it or you continue your lies. There's no soap that makes anybody rich. There's no perfume that makes anybody rich. There's no key from heaven that Jeremiah Omotofefe went to bring. In